Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this course, we're gonna learn about chapter 2 of Power BI for data analyst. Before that, let's recap the chapter 1 for a while, and after that, let's kick into our chapter 2. In the chapter 1, we have tried to understand the market standards and market availability of Power BI jobs. And after that, we have learned about different types of licensings and how to install the Power BI as well. And we have understood the differences between Power BI desktop version and Power BI service or web version. Okay. And we have learned about the different components and menus in Power BI desktop as well. And we have tried to understand storage modes and different sourcing technologies or sourcing methodologies in Power BI for importing the data. Okay, in this second chapter, let's learn more about Power Query, data profiling, data transformations and M language, loading the data and data import errors. Okay, without any late, let's kick into the first thing that we're gonna discuss today, which is Power Query. To get started with that one, let's open Power BI desktop. Okay, this is what Power BI desktop looks like. Before we learn more about Power Query, we'll have to import the data into the Power BI. Okay, for which we'll have to click on Get Data and select Text or CSV and click on Connect. Once you have clicked on Connect, you'll have to select the source of data. This is my source, customer.csv. Okay, this is where all the customers' data is available for me, and this is what I'm gonna load. Okay, once I have loaded that data into Power Query, and how do I open Power Query? As I mentioned in earlier topic, the simplest way to go to the Power Query is by clicking on the transform data button here. When we clicked on that one, we entered into the Power Query. You can clearly see that one at the left top corner, untitled Power Query Editor. Okay, this is where you can actually see. Previously, I had one data set, the sample data set from the chapter 1, which is nothing but chapter 1 underscore sample. This is where I have got 3 rows of data and 3 columns of data. And this is the new table that I have imported just now, which is nothing but customer table. Okay, whenever you just imported into the Power Query, the first 3 things would always be popped up here. These are the applied steps. Okay, whenever you make any kind of changes to this Power Query, to any of the columns or rows, or probably to change any kind of features or anything, and whenever do you do an action, a new step will be added onto the applied step here. Okay, and this is how the Power Query would look like. And another important thing that I want to tell you as well, so whenever we do make any kind of Power Query editions without using the transformations or without using the options that are already available in Power BI, this is where you normally would chuck in the information to create any new variables or anything. Okay, and let's go to the next thing. Next thing is data profiling in Power BI. Okay, data profiling is very important in Power BI, because once you have loaded the data into the Power Query, and you'll have to validate if the data has been properly imported. Without checking that thing, then you can't go ahead and create transformations, or you cannot create visualizations or modeling on top of that, because without the data being correct, whatever the things that you produce may not give any value to the company or really value to any kind of business, and could be incorrect as well. And based on that incorrect data, if someone take a crucial decision, it's going to be very upsetting for the company. Okay, for which the data profiling is very important. Okay, in the data profiling, we normally look for what are the different kind of columns there, and how many of them are there, and how many unique ones are there, what's the maximum value, what's the minimum value, and how is it distributed, and what's the quality of the data, and all these kind of things should actually be checked in the data profiling, so that we can actually make sure my data is properly imported to the Power Query. Okay, so for which Power BI already has 3 different features called column distribution, column quality, and column profiling. Okay, let's go through each one of those now and understand what exactly profiling means. Okay, so if you click on any one column here, for example, let's click on customer ID. And to view those things, you'll have to go to this view menu at the top, and you'll have to click on column distribution button here. And this is where it will tell you the distribution of each of these column here. Okay, it says 1,000 distinct ones are there and 1,000 of them are unique. It's a index column, that's why you would expect to have 1,000 distinct IDs, and 1,000 of them should also be unique. Okay, and it's a customer ID, it will be the same case for it, and it is same, so it's actually good. And when it comes to the first name, and 536 of them are distinct and 260 are unique, which means some of the customers are actually having similar kind of names. I mean, same first names and probably last name could be different, because it is quite possible. So many Johns and so many James would actually be there in the business and across the country as well. That's why we are seeing only 536 of them distinct here. And same with the last name as well, 620 of them distinct and 342 are unique. Should be fine. And when it comes to the company as well, so 987 of them distinct, because these customers could actually be working in the same company. Multiple people can actually work in the same company. And same with the subscription rate, and 610 distinct and 337 unique, which is quite possible and seems like okay to me. And same with the websites, because most of them are actually working for the similar kind of companies and core companies as well, so data looks similar. Okay, we have checked the first thing, that column distribution. And second thing that we want to check is column quality. Okay, in this column quality, what we see is, for example, when the data is imported to the Power Query, or all the information that is part of that CSV file is quality enough. Okay, from each of the columns that we can see here, it's like all of them seems to be valid, no errors and no empty fields here. And second column as well, third column, fourth, fifth and sixth and seventh, all of them have perfectly good data, which means we are happy to go ahead and check for the third one, which is called column profiling. Okay, in this column profiling, we'll have to select any one column so that we can actually get the profiling for that column. Okay, for example, let's select a company. Okay, you can see each and every one of those values here. Okay, count, how many errors, how many empty values are there, how many distinct ones are there, how many empty strings are there, minimum length one and maximum length one, and how many of them are repeated, how many of them are actually non-repetitive, and how many of them are mostly repetitive. And all of these kind of distribute profiling information would actually be available here. Okay, we'll have to check on all these things. And another note that you'll have to make here is, whenever Power BI defaultly does profiling, it is only based on the top 100, top 1,000 rows only. Okay, if you want to do it for all the records in the table, you'll have to click on here, then you'll have to select this button here. Okay, column profiling based on the entire data set. You can actually do it on the top 1,000 rows, it is the default for Power BI, and you can actually do it for the entire data set as well. Okay, you just need to click this thing. Okay, that's how you will check the column distribution, column profiling, and column quality. This is very much important. Now let's get on to data transformations and M language. M language is also known as mashup language, and let's see how it looks like. Okay, and to see that, we'll have to go to the Power BI desktop as well. And in this one, we have got into a Power BI editor earlier, and let's stay on the same screen to talk more about transformations. So to see all the different kind of transformations that are available, and you'll have to go into this transform menu, and here you can actually see different kind of transformations that are available here. All of these are transformations. Okay, for example, if I want to try one of the transformation, okay, let's click on first name and try to replace the values of probably Patty with Patrick. Okay, and we have just done one transformation to this data. That is called a transformation. Okay, whenever you do any kind of transformation using Power Query or using any options with the transform menu here, and new applied stat would actually be created here. If you want to revert the change, you will just have to click on this cross button so that that change would actually be deleted. Yeah, then you can see the Patty coming back again. Okay, or let's do another thing as well. So what can we try? Okay, in this company, not in the company, uh, yeah, in this company, let's split if there are any multiple names in the company. Yeah, I'm just doing it to show you guys how to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't actually require to do it. Okay, let's click on the split column thing by delimiter, and if there is something like, I'll give a custom thing. If there is hyphen, then we'll have to split it. Okay, and that's how I'm gonna keep this setup as. And what it does is it has created two columns here. It has split into two. The first one is company.1 and second one is company.2. And wherever there is hyphen, and that's where it actually has split it into the second column here. That's how you transform use this transformation whenever there is a need. In this case, it is not really needed, but you normally require it in some cases as well whenever you want to play with the strings and dates, etc. Okay, and just gonna revert the stains that I have here. Okay, I have deleted those two ones, and these are the different kind of transformations. And I have spoken about M language. Okay, so M language is nothing but having written a single line of code for single line of sequence or single line of action that you do. Okay, to open that M language thing, you'll have to click on this advanced editor thing right here. So this is nothing but the M language. If you see here, applied steps are three here, and all three steps will actually have individual entry for each of them. Okay. So for the first action, which is nothing but source, and this is the M language. Okay. csv.document file.contents, and it's actually giving all these things and information into this thing, and this is nothing but importing the data. And after that, prompted for headers, and after that change the type of the columns as well, however it is required to while importing into the Power Query. Okay, so it is going to assign the basic data types. For example, if it's numbers throughout, it's going to assign the number format. If it is characters throughout, it's going to assign the characters, and that's how the types of the data would actually be changed in this step. These are the default steps in the in the opening of Power Query. Okay, and this is called M language, and for each of the action, each of the line code would actually be here. Okay, whenever you want to make any changes to this thing, you can actually make changes to it. And in the probably in the next topic of this chapter itself, let's go to the M query and show you how to make changes as well. Okay, for the time being, let's cancel this and let's go to the next topic. Okay, next topic is nothing but loading the data. Okay, you must be wondering what is loading the data. We have already loaded the data to Power BI. Okay, you may have gone wrong there. Okay, now let me close this window. Okay, without saving or anything. Next topic for is loading the data, and we have initially learned about importing the data to the Power Query. Okay, and when you're talking about the loading the data, and there are two parts of it. The first part is loading the data from Power Data Source to the Power Query, and second part is loading the data from Power Query to the Power BI. Okay, let's go to the demo so that we can understand it a bit more clear. Okay, for that we'll have to go to the Power BI desktop. Okay, let me explain each step one by one. Okay, the first step is importing the data from the source to the Power Query. Okay, for which you'll have to click on the data like you have been doing since chapter 1. Click on CSV and click on connect and choose the customer file and click on open, and you have now imported that data. Sorry, you'll have to click on load so that you will import the data to the Power Query. Hmm? Now the data is available in Power Query, but it is not technically available in Power BI yet. Okay, until we close and apply, it won't be loaded to the Power BI. Okay, that's the second step of it, which is nothing but loading the data from Power Query to the Power BI. So why is two-step process rather than one? Because in some of the cases you have to import the data to run some Power Queries there and remove the unnecessary columns or remove unnecessary data or remove the entire table from loading to the Power BI. Rather, you would like to join it some other way or probably do it in another efficient way, for which you normally do not load the data directly to the Power BI. Rather, you put it in Power Query, but you do not load it to the Power BI, for which what you would normally do is right click on this query and click uncheck this enable load. Okay, and when you are clicking this thing, you will see a pop-up like this and click on continue. Okay, so we have asked Power Query to not to load this chapter 1 sample but load only the customer thing. Okay, which means there are two in Power Query, but whenever I'm clicking close and apply, you'll only see one of them is being loaded. Okay, you can see, oh, it's quickly gone out, but you are actually seeing it here. Only the customer is actually available here. But when I'm going to the transform data, I can see two queries because I've got two in the Power Query because I have loaded two from source to the Power Query, but from Power Query to the Power BI, I only have one of them. That's why I'm seeing only one table right here on this right hand side. This is the difference between loading the data from source to the Power Query to Power BI. Okay. Next topic for us is data import errors. Okay. So let's do one thing. Okay. We got this customer data. Let's go to our Power Query. Okay. This is our customer table, and we have got Power Query open here. Okay, let's go to the Windows Explorer to see our file from which we imported. Okay, so this is the customer file. For timing, let's change this name of the file to be customer1. Saved it, and let's go to Power BI Power Query, and let's click refresh preview. What did happen? So what it is saying is the data source error, which means whatever the data source that we have earlier imported into Power Query is not available in that folder. Okay, that's what we'll have to change, and this is called one of the errors that we have spoken about, which is nothing but step level errors, which means without this step is fixed, it would not go ahead, or it would not go ahead and import the data into Power BI. These are the kind of step errors in Power BI while we are importing the data. Okay, to fix this thing, let's do one thing. Previously, we have spoken about M language or mashup language, and when you click on this advanced editor, that's what you will get. Okay, let's use this advanced editor button or mash language. Let's make a change to the file. Okay, we have changed it to customer1. That's why it's not working. So let's update it in the M language and click on done, and now refresh the preview. As in seconds, we got the data, and this is how we have fixed this step error. Okay, let's look at another one example. Okay, so this time let's open this customer one. Okay, let's change one of the things. Mm, let's take off the space between customer and ID, and let's write 2 here, as in characters rather than numbers. Okay, and let's save this file. Okay, now let's go to the Power BI Power Query again, and let's refresh the preview again. So what is it saying again is the customer ID is not found. This is again called step error because without running this step, the data is not being imported at all. Okay, to fix this one again, let's go to this M language, which you'll get by clicking on the advanced editor button, and let's change that customer ID thing here. Okay, in the second thing, let me remove that space and click on done, and when you click refresh, the data has been loaded, but if you are seeing it clearly and there is an error in one of the cells, and this error is called cell based errors or cell level error. And you can see for all the columns there is green color thing, but for this dotted green color is under the column name here, and this is the cell level error. Okay, to how to fix this cell level errors and everything we'll actually learn in the next chapters, but I want to show you one more thing that we have spoken about earlier in the column profiling or profiling the data. Okay, if you see the column profiling or column quality for this data, and you can see error is less than 1% and empty is 00 and error is less than 1% here. Okay, which means there is some error, and you cannot say what is the validity percentage and you cannot say what is the empty percentage here, which means there is some error here. Okay, we'll have to fix that error, and we couldn't convert the number, we could not convert it to the number. So this is the text and they could not convert it into the number. That's what they are saying. But we're going to talk about this error in the next chapters and how to fix this cell level errors as well, and many more errors that would come in future as well. Okay, it concludes the chapter 2 of Power BI. And if you have any questions or comments, please put it in the comments. And thanks for listening, and please do subscribe, like, and share the channel. Thank you.